be play a real swarmy style of Zerg, just produce a ridiculous amount of units, and in ZVZ I'm kind of expecting that to be no different. I wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 early pulls in this series, but overall I think we're gonna see a lot of roaches and a lot of macro games from these two guys. As we have macro openings on both sides, hedge first on either side. No surprise there, as of course, you know, ZVZ on Frost, you can get away with this. The majority of the time there's almost no build that really shuts this down. Even crazy early game aggressive builds are very doable to hold, as long as you don't delay your spawning pool too much. We see GuitarCheese and both Sen actually keep squeezing out 2 more drones before making that spawning pool. Extractor going down already for Sen. No extractor just yet for GuitarCheese, so it could be a gasless opening over here. We had the pleasure of seeing Hendrelist play some excellent ZVZ yesterday against Scarlet in Challenger. With an interesting style, opening up with a bunch of Zerglings with +1 armor, and he was very successful with it. But then again, it all comes down to your opponent. ZVZ is a lot about metagame tricks, and it's a lot about playing against your opponent much rather than playing the real matchup. There's no one style that is like super solid and is always going to put you ahead. You're gonna have to make a lot of right decisions throughout the entire series. I think this is a series that's really hard to call. I don't think one player is a clear favorite over the other. If you look at the history, if you look at prize money 1, of course, you know, you will say immediately like, hey, Sen should be the favorite for this. But I don't think it's as black and white as that. As we're playing on the North American server, of course, Sen playing from Taiwan is going to have to deal with a little bit of latency, and above all, GuitarCheese is unknown, makes it hard for Sen to find a whole lot of information about his opponent. And you know, GuitarCheese, you could say he has nothing to lose, a lot to win. I don't think he sees a series like this though. I think this is a series where he really expects himself to perform well. He's been training a lot, he's been training hard for a long time, and this is his moment. Or at least this could be his moment to shine. We'll see where he's gonna go. Speed more than halfway done for Sen. Gonna keep a close eye on the production tab. See if he decides to produce a big swell of Zerglings, but I'm not expecting him to do it. Cross map, Frost, it's really hard to catch your opponent off guard. And I think if he decides to make a lot of Zerglings, it's going to be easy for GuitarCheese to pick up on that. Still get a wall off in time, maybe drop a spine crawl if he really needs to. And he should be more than safe. A few slow Zerglings from Guitar will make their way across the map. He doesn't know that Sen opened up with gas. It's hard to scout, especially because his overlords went into the wrong direction as well. Almost no one senses overlord cross map immediately. Well, just like I said, I wasn't sure if Sen was going to produce a ridiculous amount of Zerglings, but that is exactly what is going to happen. He killed those Zerglings before revealing the fact that he has speed, so this is really nice. Sen does end up losing an Overlord over here though, on the left top side of the map due to his queens. And that's actually a little sloppy. Here comes this wall. It's probably going to be a Roach Warren as well, and just leaves a little bit of space for these queens. And it all comes down to these overlords. I'm not actually sure if GuitarCheese already saw all of these Zerglings. His overlords were slightly out of position. He could still be able to defend this though if he just makes Zerglings right now immediately and drops a Spinecrawler as well. He sees the first link, has to be so careful with his queen positioning. One of those queens is going to take damage immediately. Sen with a lot of Zerglings knocking on the front door of GuitarCheese, who still has no units. Oh my god, the Zerglings squeeze in. This might actually just be it. What I thought was not going to be very successful in this matchup might just be it over here for Sen. So many drones have fallen, all 4 queens went down. GuitarCheese still waiting for that Roach Farm, but with his gasless opening, he had to wait for that for a while. Sen already has his transition ready behind this, but GuitarCheese is just going to tap out. The Overlords were slightly out of position. He didn't see all of these speedlings make their way across the map. And if you don't have any map vision at all, something that I really think he can fault himself for, because I think it would have been possible to scout that. And just like that, Sen takes a 1-0 lead in this series. Something that I don't think should have happened like that. Because this is a build, once again, of course you're playing against Sen, you're playing against a very strong Zerg player. But this is the type of build that it doesn't matter if it's executed by your average Diamond or High Master or Grandmaster or a Sen type of Zerg. You should be able to defend against this. Of course Sen did a good job in avoiding the Overlords, but still, GuitarCheese should not die to this. He's better than that, I know that he's better than this. So we should just probably forget about this game on Frost. Sen takes a quick 1-0 lead over here. It happens, move on, get yourself together, Guitar, and try to do it better. Our second map is going to be played on Habitation Station. Also a map which Stuff like that is possible. It's a little harder perhaps to pull off because there is a small ramp at the start of the natural, and as long as there's a ramp, it's always harder to make pushes work. We could see some roads oriented play over here. 1-1 roach timings are pretty popular on this map. It's an unfortunate first game. I don't want to talk too much about it because then we're just gonna start bashing, and we don't want to do that. It's unfortunate, just have to move on immediately. Forget about it. I'm gonna fix my scoreboard, make sure that everything is correct for our next game, which should be. As I said multiple times, this is our third series of the day. After this, we are going to have the creator of the universe, Nasty, against our Australian Gimli Terran, Ayaguas, which is going to be really fun, I think. Yes, I am ready. As I haven't seen Nasty in a while. The last few times I have seen Nasty play, I must say I was not blown away. He does always make it into Premier League, and it's so hard to, not expect a whole lot from Nasty because he has given us so much joy in the past. But Nasty, it almost feels like former glory. But we'll see. Maybe he's able to surprise us today. It would be awesome to see the Australian Terran make his first run in Premier League. He, of course, moved to the States, or temporarily moved to the States. He's currently living in the Root House. And that is going to be our final series of the day. For now, all our eyes and attention will be focused on Sand versus GuitarCheese. Second map is going to be played on Habitation, like I said. And hopefully we'll have a real game this time, because obviously that was well done by Sen, but the ball is in Guitar's corner to do a little better than that. And I know that he's capable of doing so. Over here on the left top side of the map, we have Sen as our red Zerg. Currently up 1-0 over his North American opponent, GuitarCheese, who is our blue Zerg, spawning on the right top side of the map, representing Solaris Gaming, a new team that just got announced today. Has a couple of exciting North American talented players on it. He's one of them. His teammate Padre is one of them. He's a cool dude living in Southern California. There's also going to be some local tournaments soon in Southern California, which I'll tell you guys all about that in the future. And we might actually see some of the guys from Solaris Gaming in that tournament. Habitation, like I said before, is a map where we often see roach-oriented timings. 1-1 roach timings are pretty damn popular on this map. Some players try to get away with Muda play on this map as well, because of course the bases are relatively close to each other, air distance wise. It's been a long day of casting for me. Sorry if I'm sometimes stumbling over my sentences, even though I always do that, so that's no excuse, I guess. But I think today is a little worse than it normally is. Either way, I had a lot of fun. If you just joined us and you're wondering what did I miss today, Roddy, well, you missed one of the most epic games that I had the pleasure of casting or just seeing in quite a while, between Noni and Jadong on Waystation. You definitely want to check that game out. It was far from a flawless game. There were a lot of, let's just say, mistakes were made on both sides, but it doesn't change the fact that it was a really cool game, and it was awesome to see Noni play a game like that. We see Hedge first again for both sides over here. In the end, Jadong was able to win that series 3-1, by the way. And our second series of the day just finished up between Kane and Top. Top just doing what Top does best, bust out a lot of crazy, dirty proto strategies, and he was able to close out the series and make his 4th consecutive Premier League run, or it could even be his 5th consecutive Premier League run already, mixing up the seasons here. But regardless, it's a really impressive achievement by our Chinese Protoss player. I really hope that GuitarCheese will be able to provide us with a couple of great games today. I really think he has the skills to compete with a player like Sen. Once again, we shouldn't look too much into that first game of the day, or at least that first game within this series. We have an extractor go down over here for extractor. This time we see for Sen. This time we see GuitarCheese opening up with an extractor as well. So we are not going to have the same game as before, as most likely GuitarCheese will open up with a bunch of speedlings. If he decides to do so, probably going to see a bunch of Zerglings, a bunch of Banelings, most likely a defensive Baneling nest. Excuse me. I'd be surprised if we see either player really committing to crazy Zergling Baneling aggression. Then again, I was also surprised by Sen producing 28 speedlings on Frost, and he was able to be successful with it. But some things only work once, work when you catch your opponent off guard. Got a little bit fortunate perhaps with the overlord placement from GuitarCheese, but of course Sen also had his overlords in a good position, so he saw where the overlords were from GuitarCheese. Either way, I still think that was a one-time thing, and we can forget about it, like I said a couple of times by now. Zergling speed halfway down for both players. We already see the Baneling has go down for GuitarCheese. Of course, keeping a close eye on the production tab, it is going to be extremely important to see if one player goes crazy on Zergling production or not. But it's very hard. Sen so far is delaying his Baning Nest, which I'm a little bit surprised by, as he did see the extractor, he sees the spawning pool wiggling as well, so he knows that speed is on the way. He is mining gas, he has gas in the bank, but so far still no Baning Nest for Sen. This is kind of interesting. Did these happy little slow Zerglings see the Baning Nest? Yes, they did. So the Baning Nest from Sen is a good 20-30 seconds later than the Baning Nest of GuitarCheese, who right now decides to produce a lot of Zerglings, so he is going to be very aggressive. Since his Baning Nest is so much quicker than the one of Sen, which I don't think that he could have possibly known unless, you know, he just purposely made his Baning Nest quite a bit quicker than Zerg players normally do in this matchup. This could be successful, but Sen already seems to be aware of, like, hey, something crazy might be going on. He has Overlords, he sees Zerglings make their way across the map. Banelings morphing over here on the bottom of his ramp as well. Sen still has to wait with his Banelings. He is getting his own Spine Crawler though. Right now it's 20 Zerglings against 5, but Sen does have 10 more Zerglings on the way. Banelings will connect with a few Zerglings and actually gonna jump on top of these queens. GuitarCheese with a really good engagement so far, and with these additional Banelings coming in soon, and all of these Zerglings, it might seem like the roles are reversed right now. The tables are turned, and this time it's GuitarCheese with the crazy early game aggression, and with these 4 Banelings here, I think he might just be able to straight up win the game. He's still going absolutely ham on the Zergling production. A few more Zerglings are making their way across the map. Sen right now with all of his Zerglings extremely clumped up. A couple of these Banelings are getting reasonably juicy connections. I'm not sure why he waited a long time there before using his Banelings, but he has so many Zerglings. Right now it's 15 Zerglings, 25 against only 4. Sen lost his queen, so Sen has no more larva, and that's it. GG is gold. GuitarCheese wins game number 2 over here on Habitation Station. And we had a lot of long games today. Today has been a long Challenger broadcast for me, but just like that, we are 1-1 in this series, and we're looking at a best of 3. GuitarCheese dropping the Baning Nest quite a bit quicker than Sen. The first Banelings getting reasonable connections, and above all, those Zerglings being able to jump on top of those queens. You know, early game ZVZ is obviously a super fragile matchup. If one thing goes wrong, it can snowball out of control, and from being sort of okay and from being able to, you're supposed to hold this, you can just be absolutely dead. The moment that Sen lost those queens, it was going to be extremely hard for him to properly hold. That Spine Crawler never saw daylight, the queens got surrounded, he wasn't able to protect his ramp, and the moment that the Zerglings are able to get so much surface area on those queens, it's just curtains, it's game over immediately. So just like that, it's 1-1. I'm actually not sure if I know the map pool of the remaining matches. I would actually love to see Altazim Stronghold be played out between these two, since so far both players seem to love early game aggression a little bit. Of course, there are always so many mind games when it comes to a ZVZ best of 5 like this, and I won't be too surprised at all to see more similar stuff like this, because right now it's already a mind game. It's like, hey, you tried to surprise me and it worked, and I just returned the favor and I did the exact same thing against you. Our third map is going to be played on King Sejong Station, which is a relatively large map. As some of you guys may know, Swarm Host can be pretty damn effective on this map. I wouldn't even say that it's necessarily the best Swarm Host map out there, but we've seen Swarm Host be pretty damn good on this map a couple of times. But I think from now on it's going to be all about scouting, as both players, I'm really surprised that I just saw 2 games play out like this. This feels like we just took you know, a leap back in time, and 2 years ago, you know, I wouldn't have been surprised at all, because this is how so many of the ZVZs played out. But in this day and age, you just don't see that crazy commitment to all those Zerglings and all those Banelings that early, and especially you don't see it be that successful. But right now we did. Of course, big thanks to everyone that has been joining in. I said this earlier today, but if you have been watching a lot of Starcraft, or you're wondering what exactly is going on, you guys can always visit the Starcraft 2 portal that Blizzard has created already quite a while ago, but it's a fantastic portal. Starcraft2.com/WCS. You will be able to find all of the VODs there of all these games that have been played, and above all, you will be able to find out all the updates, the schedules for upcoming weeks. So you'll be able to keep track of WCS Europe, WCS America, and as I said, if you missed a couple of games with your favorite player, it's very easy to just find your player on the website and you see a couple of VODs of him. Overall, really great site and definitely worth checking out if you haven't done that just yet. Game 3 is almost live, as we're almost loaded in between Sen and GuitarCheese. It's going to be played on King Sejong Station, and we are as good to go, I believe. Just waiting right now. I hope everything goes right. We had a couple of A couple of times I was the problem today. Actually, just once. I dropped out of one game. It was a tragedy. I was very sad about it. What else is there? Of course, you know, as I said before, we have one more series after this. This Challenger Day has been longer than any other Challenger Day so far. Even despite these two games that just got played out very quickly, we're still pretty far behind schedule. Normally we're already supposed to be like halfway through our final series of the day. Right now we're almost halfway through our third series of the day. But that just gets to show that we had a couple of really close series today. We had a 3-2 series between Top and Kane, as you guys can see on the previous screen. And we had a ridiculously long game between Jaedong and Noni played on Waystation. I definitely saw a couple of really cool things on that game. I must say, you know, the entire week and also last week of Challenger has been a lot of fun. Yesterday I saw Hero have a really cool transition in PvT with a double Stargate transition against Zeno. I definitely recommend you guys to check out that game on King Seong Station, because I just thought it was really smart and not something that I have seen a whole lot. After you shut down factory aggression, and I'm talking about PvT right now, or in the ZVZ series, but just loading, and it seems like there might be a small issue with this game, so I'm just making sure that nothing is going wrong. Alright. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm trying to get everything sorted out. We're still trying to load into this game, map number 3, but it's not working. At least it's not working for someone. Hopefully we can still continue the game. But either way, you guys can check that game out as well, the Starcraft 2 portal. It was a cool game by Hero. Hero, of course, is going to be part of Premier League, as he was able to win pretty decisively and convincingly over Xenocide at 3-0. I have no idea what's wrong over here. I'm starting to panic a little bit. Maybe I am the problem. That would be a real shame. So I've been looking at this loading screen for like the last 30 seconds or more, like 1 minute straight on King Seong Station, so I'm starting to be quite worried that something is going wrong, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. Once again, of course, always get the tweets going. Let us know who you're cheering for. Let us know how your favorite players are doing. Hashtag WCS. For Challenger, we love hearing your feedback. For Premier League, of course, we're going to go crazy and we want to see a lot of cool submissions again. Some people are still a little bit confused about what is going on. As our game finally did load it up, our admin has dropped, but I'm not sure if that's a big problem. I don't really think it is. We'll see. I don't think that anyone is a referee, so we can't actually let these players know. But I'm good to go, so if I'm good to go, then hopefully the players are good to go as well. It seems like we are just going to play out this game, are we? Let's just pretend we are. Over here on the left top side of King Seong Station, we have our red Zerg player. He's currently tied 1-1 against GuitarCheese. He opened up crazy in game 1 and he died to craziness in game 2. He's one of the most celebrated and successful foreign players. He is Sen, of course, hailing from Taiwan. Sen has been on top of the sea, or on top of the sea might be slightly exaggerated, but he's been really successful and he's been around since day 1 of Wings of Liberty, and of course he has a very rich Brood War past as well, which if I knew anything about it I would tell you guys all about it, but as some of you guys may know, I know more about the Warcraft 3 department than the Brood War department. Over here on the right bottom side of the map we have a very talented and exciting North American Zerg player. He's playing under the account of GuitarCheese and he's representing his new team, Solaris Gaming. I mentioned this before, but I think it's still worth mentioning again, as random players are being celebrated quite a bit lately and getting a lot of props, but GuitarCheese has excellent random as well. I ran into his Terran and his Protoss a couple of times, and especially his Terran is also quite good. So he might just have the skills to immediately switch to Terran and try to boss out on 11-11, even though you don't need a whole lot of skills for that. Either way, his random is really good, which I think is impressive because not a lot of players are able to play at an extremely high level when it comes to all 3 races, but he's one of them. We see Sen switching things up a little bit as he opened up with the spawning pool over here in his main base, followed up by the hatchery on the low ground. Now this is not something like, oh my god, what is Sen going to do with this? This is really crazy. Obviously it's a very normal opening in ZVZ, just a little more safe than the hatch first opening over here, and also a little less economic. It's not a super huge difference, but I kind of wonder why Sen is doing this, because in the first 2 games he showed no sign of that, and he even delayed his spawning pool by quite a bit. He's also dropping the extractor, so he will once more open up with speedlinks. This is a relatively tough ramp to defend. And a lot of players have been really creative with their sim cities over here, you know, getting interesting placement on their evolution chambers and roach warrens, and like using this little corner for maybe a swarm host, a sport crawler. Why am I talking about swarm host at the 3-minute and 45-second mark in this game? Sometimes you see players drop a sport crawler over here to immediately snipe the first overlord. It's a really cute move, something I'd like to see. And after that, you can use that sport crawler, put it on hold position over here, because it can temporarily complete your wall up if you decide to open up gasless, which is so far what GuitarCheese is doing. But he decided not to open up with that crazy sport cannon. So Sen, where are you gonna take your quick gas? He almost has enough gas to fire off speed immediately, and then I'll keep a close eye on the fact if he pulls the drones from gas or not. He is for now, but he can always send a few drones back to that extractor when he decides to do so, and maybe still bust out some Zergling baiting aggression. Both extractors are going down in the natural for GuitarCheese at the 4-minute and 45-second mark. That's still relatively quick. So despite this being a gasless opening, this is not like, oh, it's super crazy. No, I'm not going to make anything other than drones for 6 minutes or something, or 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So still relatively quick extractors for Blue Zerg, who's representing his new. This is probably the first series that he will ever that he played under the wings of his new team, as his team just got announced today. We see a very quick third base over here by Sen. Sen, who probably saw these extractors go down in the natural and picked up on the fact that, hey, that probably means that you had no extractors in your main base. That means that your speed is going to be a lot later, and that means that I will be able to get away with going up to 3 bases, because I'm going to be the Zerg with much quicker speed and a little bit of map control. You see both Evo chambers going down over here. So GuitarCheese starts working on his cute little wall up, and he's going to finish it up with the roach ward. So this is kind of what GuitarCheese wanted to do on Frost, but then unfortunately he wasn't able to do it because he died against Speedlings. This game, I feel that he has overlords in a much better position. If you just take a look at his overlord spread, he sees anything that comes over here, and if somehow he wouldn't have vision of this tiny corner, he sees, oh, he has an overlord over here as well, and he has an overlord on the north side. So it's absolutely impossible for Sen to rally 20 Zerglings across the map without him being aware of it. With that double Evo being up over here, we'll most likely fire up armor immediately as well. We could potentially embrace ourselves for a big 1-1 roach timing, or at least a reasonable amount of 1-1 roaches, where he's going to try to make something happen, and then it will all come down to Sen if he's able to produce enough roaches in time, which he should be. His opening was a little less economic because of the speed opening and because of the pool first, but in the end he's going to have his third base a lot quicker, so I don't think there is a massive difference between the economy of both players right now. Normally you do see the player that opens up with Speedlings. Sen actually producing 12 roaches. That is interesting. This is not a phase in the game where I normally expect 12 roaches from the player that opened up with speeds. No layer tag either yet. 16 roaches right now for Sen. As I'm slowly just dying, that's just great. I assume we'll not be able to produce any noise anymore. So it seems like Sen is going to try to cancel this hatch in an unorthodox fashion. You know, sometimes the player that opens up with speed will make a bunch of Zerglings and try to swing those Zerglings across the map and make it a little harder for the Zerg player that opened up gasless to go up to 3 bases as well. But Sen is going to try to do this with slow roaches. Roach speed is halfway down for GuitarCheese, and from this point on, Guitar sees all these roaches and links make their way across the map as well. So it should definitely be units and units only. Did he even cancel his armor? Yes, he did. GuitarCheese canceled his armor upgrade. He's like, I need as many units as I can possibly muster out right now, because if I keep my base alive, I'm going to be in a fantastic position. And in all honesty, I really think he can. He is not down in the roach count, he is down in the Zergling count. But if he is +1 finishes up, then these roaches are going to be really good. He has a bunch of twins as well that he could potentially help with soaking up some damage. Transfusions on landing. This is going to be a pretty close fight regardless. But with +1 finishing up, I really think that GuitarCheese is able to hold this. These Zerglings are not going to be extremely effective for Sen. And Sen is going to be able to push back with relative ease over here from GuitarCheese with an 100 supply right now with a massive advantage. He has roach speed, layer tech finished up, he has everything working for himself. His base didn't even get close to dying. Made the snap call to cancel that armor upgrade because he's like, hey, I need units and I need them right now. I'm not sure if that would make a difference, but you could even pick out these roaches. These roaches from Sen are so much slower than the roaches of GuitarCheese that you can just trap these roaches and you might lose 1 or 2 in the process, but that's about it. You didn't even lose single roaches yet. Sen, you may as well just I don't really understand why Sen wouldn't just fight with those roaches. Then again, I guess running them back buys a little bit of time for himself, but I think Sen is dead, guys. It's 24 speed roaches for a North American Zerg player right now. Running up this ramp on King's Young Station. Will GuitarCheese be able to put himself in a 2-1 advantage over here in this best of 5 series? Drones being pulled by Sen, obviously never a good sign. He's going to try to hang in there a little longer. +2 is even on the way. So many drones are going to fall over here for Sen. So even if GuitarCheese doesn't win the game right here and right now, he should be able to do so much damage that leaves Sen just absolutely crippled. A 14-15 drone advantage, a roach advantage, an upgrade advantage, and the speed advantage as well. So attack advantage is the word I'm looking for, I guess. This can't go wrong anymore. He's up 40 supply. I guess I didn't mention supply advantage just yet. Basically any advantage that one could possibly wish for is going in Guitar's favor right now. I thought it was a really strange way for Sen to go with that build, because it's something that maybe could work on a smaller map. Like if he does it on Habitation Station, I wouldn't mind it too much, or in the old days like on Yangsu for instance, which is just a lot smaller. But the distance by ground on King's Young Station is really far. It takes half a century to make your way across the map with slow roaches. So GuitarCheese had so much time to get ready for this, and the Overlord's in excellent positions as well. I guess he is going to wait for +2 to finish up, which I don't mind at all. He has such a big advantage. He's up in workers. I kind of like, to be honest, that he didn't try to push the issue too hard, because imagine if he would somehow get surrounded, because the reinforcements distance is of course quite long over here. So he's just like, hey, I just killed a bunch of drones. I have an upgraded advantage as well. I can just fall back and I can actually just finish this game in the later stage of the game without risking anything. Being up 60 supply and having the roach paint train roll across the map. It's going to put his roaches in a good position, create a little bit of a concave for himself, takes down this hatchery immediately. A few brooklings will spawn. Maybe that's going to help out Sen a little bit. Sen has a bunch of roaches in his army, and his reinforcements are literally going to spawn in the fight. But still, the upgrade advantage is so big. It's +2 against +1. Okay, maybe it's not that big, but it's still a full upgrade advantage. More units are streaming across the map as well. There's still speed as well for GuitarCheese. He uses Burrow. There is no overseer over here for Sen, so all of these roaches will be back to full HP in a matter of no time. And Sen is going to try to hang in there, trying to muster out some sort of an impossible defense. But Burrow being used there as well, tunneling close, putting the roaches in good positions, and GuitarCheese even showing up a little bit over here. GG is called, and GuitarCheese takes a 2-1 lead over Sen. So despite this series starting off horribly for him, after that first game on Frost, which I think we can all describe as a disaster, where he just died to speedlings, it's been going extremely well. After that, strange timing over here. Oh, that was a very wrong scoreboard by me. This is probably the right one. There we go. I actually hadn't updated it yet, so it didn't look as silly for you as it looked for me. Really strange timing by Sen. I think it's very easy and simple and straightforward to summon up this game. Sen just went for a slow roach timing, which is a big commitment. Obviously, it delays everything. It delays layer, it delays roach speed, even delayed any additional upgrades. It was a massive investment, and he just didn't get the damage done that he was looking for. Our next map is going to be played on Group. But that looked solid by GuitarCheese. He didn't even break his thread. It almost looked like it. He saw it coming. He had the pieces in the right place to deal with it, and just did pretty much everything right. How exciting is this? A North American Zerg player just being one map away right now, having 2 match points to making it into WCS America Premier League, and it is not Scarlet. It's not Kane. It's not. Well, in the old days we'd say Idra. It's not even one of the guys on 5. It's a complete new face, at least. If I can imagine the average European viewer being unfamiliar with GuitarCheese, I won't fault them for that at all. It's a guy that I'm quite familiar with, but I mean, I play a lot of ladder on the North American server, and if you are North American, you probably know him. But for a lot of people, he's probably a little bit of an unknown, so it's really exciting to see him putting up such a good fight so far against Sen, and just being 1 map away right now from making it into Premier League. It is the 7th of May 2014, and it is our final day of Challenger action. Last week we had 2 play days where we saw a lot of good players qualify. So our admin is asking if I'm ready. Last week we already saw Violet, Illusion, Jim and Courage qualify to WCS America Premier League, and the day after that was the day of the North Americans, where we saw Soppy, Czech, Massa and Major qualify as well. Of course, we only had 3 North American players active that day, but all 3 of them won their series 3-0, and it's really cool that they were represented by US, Mexico and Canada. Yesterday we saw Hero, Henderlisk and Pig Baby qualify, and earlier today we saw Jadong and Top qualify so far, and right now GuitarCheese is just 1 map win away from also making it into Premier League. And I said in the start of the series that I think it would be really hard to call a favorite. I think for a lot of people Sen was the favorite. I was kind of a 50-50, but I'd be really excited for GuitarCheese if he makes it. He's not there just yet, but it would be awesome. Of course, big thanks to everyone who's been joining in, not just today, but also last week when Nathanias and myself were bringing you the games, and yesterday as well. And just making sure that all my scoreboards are correct. No, Roddy, stop. What are you doing? No, Roddy, stop. I'm not very good at this, am I, guess? There we go. Over here on the left bottom side of the map we have the Taiwanese Zerg player. He's one of the most successful foreign Zergs that we have, but it's been a while since we heard a lot about him, and right now he's on the verge of being eliminated in Challenger. He is Sam, our Taiwanese teddy bear. Is known for sleeping, as not many people I know sleep as much as Sam does. He's going up against a young, talented and probably still very hungry North American Zerg player representing Solaris Gaming. He is GuitarCheese. If you guys wonder why I just referred to Sen as the sleeping teddy bear, a long time ago we were doing the NASL Sunday Showdowns, and we decided to fly Sen out for a show match best of 7 against Le Tot, the one and only. And when Le Tot was here, he was just playing games, grinding, basically like grabbing every opportunity he had to get ready for that show match. And Sen was just sitting around in the office that we had back then, and he was just sleeping. He was sleeping. He woke up for a small photo shoot, and then he just went back to sleep. During the day, didn't matter. It was 4 p.m., 7 p.m., 11 a.m. Sen was always sleeping, up to the point where we actually decided to host a show match, and he just, I love you, Johan, but he completely demolished you in that series. As Sen won that series, I think it was 4-1 or 4-2, but it was the games were kind of a slump, and Le Tot was very unpleased. He's like, what is this? This guy just sleeps all the time, and then he beats me. Sen is a great dude. He's always fun. If you guys ever go to a tournament where Sen is, you should definitely walk up to him and say hi to him. I never had the pleasure actually of meeting GuitarCheese in person, but if he qualifies for Premier League, there's a realistic chance that I will. Of course, if you make it into Premier League, for the people who wonder like what happens in Premier League, I don't watch Starcraft all the time. You keep referring to this Premier League thing. What is it? Once again, you can find all the information at starcraft2.com/WCS, or take a look at Wikipedia and then you type in WCS America. But basically the 32 best players in North America, or players that decided to play in the North American competition, will duke it out for a lot of prize money and WCS points. The best 16, they will be placed in 8 groups of 4 players. Every group, 2 players will advance and 2 players will be eliminated. And if you advance to the round of 16, you will be flown out to Southern California to compete in the offline part of that tournament. And that is where, of course, things get super fun for us as well, because all of the players will be live. The production will be a lot cooler because you guys will actually see the players on camera as well. We'll be able to do interviews and all the good things in live. And that is going to happen in the upcoming 2 months. I think Premier League kicks off in 2 weeks from now on. I think it's around the 22nd or 23rd of May. It was supposed to start on the 13th or 14th when we pushed back the group stage dates just 1 or 2 weeks. So we could also have Nathan back in town. Of course, I would never do a solo cast of Premier League. That would be terrible. I wouldn't want to do that against 2 of you guys. That would just be a shame. Either way, both players with relatively standard openings so far. Speed being researched at identical moments. Sen is 5 seconds ahead. Overgrowth is also a tricky map when it comes to... I mean, it's not super tough to wall off, but for instance, it's a little bit harder than it is on Habitation Station. There's also no ramp, so you can just run in. You will always see what's waiting for you. Of course, when you have to run up to a ramp all the time, the moment there are bailings, it's a lot harder to get to avoid the bailing connections. So we'll see where both players are going to take this. They're both even in workers right now. Sen is dropping a spine crawler, perhaps getting a little bit nervous as well, because there's so much on the line. You often see players get a little bit more passive and a little bit more defensive when there is so much on the line. GuitarCheese is doing the exact same thing. This kind of tells us right now that neither player wants to make a ridiculous amount of circlings and banelings. Well, this is really funny. He's morphing these banelings on top of the cocoon, so it kind of looks like it's a standard cocoon, but it's not. I've never seen that. It could be like the greatest trick of all time. It's like you run in with a bunch of zerglings and it's like, surprise, it's a baneling. Trading a one baneling for a zergling is probably not the best decision, but you know, if that was 10 zerglings, that would have been a Pimpus play of the month for sure. Sen gets a good scout up in the main base of GuitarCheese, and he fired up a very quick layer. It's even, well, actually both players going for a really quick layer. So you might actually see some muta action over here. It could still be something else as well, but by the way that both players have played this so far, getting the defensive spine crawler and not getting too many zerglings and banelings, I'm starting to feel like Mutalisk more and more, especially with both players mining off, I want to say 4 extractors, but not all 4 of them are saturated just yet. A lot of drones in production there for Sen. This is cool. We haven't seen a Muta War. We haven't seen a Muta War yesterday either. We saw Scarlet try to play Mutalisk against Hendralisk, but she was very far behind in that game, so that's was not a very fair chance for the Mutas. Spire from Sen is going to be a little bit quicker. This is good news for him. That means that basically everything is always going to be a tiny bit quicker, but it's almost impossible to find a 6-second window, so I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference. As the third base for GuitarCheese is a little bit quicker for a North American Zerg. The drone count shows us that Sen is ahead by just a tiny bit. There are a few more Zerglings out on the map for GuitarCheese than there are for Sen, but both players right now, after having 2 bases properly saturated, this is most of the time in the magic number. They have a few more drones than I expected them to have before they started producing links, but it's all very standard so far. If this hatch was very low on HP, these Zerglings may have been able to achieve something. Right now, Sen is going to have absolutely no problem in defending his hatchery. GuitarCheese has a... no, actually, never mind. Well, he's making 20 more links, so I'm starting to have the feeling that GuitarCheese really does want to cancel this hatchery, and it's going to be hard because there will be Zerglings and there will be defensive banelings as well. There is one baneling over here for GuitarCheese which won't be able to connect with pretty much anything. We'll take down 2 Zerglings, but that's not what you're looking for. Either way, more Zerglings have been produced for a North American Zerg than for Sen. I don't think that he's going to be able to kill this hatchery though. Sen seems to be very well protected. Or prepared is what I tried to say. With that spine crawler and with these few banelings over here as well. And now we are getting ready for the Mutas. Sen has way more money in the bank as well. He's supply blocked, so he needs to produce a few overlords. But I think he's going to have a small Muta advantage, also because GuitarCheese made a few more Zerglings and banelings than his opponent did. Sen on the other end is going to try to make something happen with his Zerglings, and there were no overlords finding these Zerglings on the left side of the map, so Sen might actually be able to kill this hatchery over here. These Zerglings are going to get an immediate surround. The queen spawns as well in an unfortunate moment. Here come the Zerglings for GuitarCheese, but is this hatchery going to fall? It should fall. It will fall, even though it's pretty close, and Sen is going to lose a lot of Zerglings in the process. We'll only get out with 5 Zerglings in the end. And at the same time we saw GuitarCheese try to make something happen on the other side of the map. Okay, so right now it's the question, will he be able to cancel with all of his Zerglings and his banelings? And what's going to happen with the Muta War? Right now we're completely even on Mutalisk, but Sen realizing as well that he has to worry about all of these Zerglings. GuitarCheese is actually going for the natural. Do we have defensive banelings? No, we don't. What are you going to go for? It's hard to make up his mind against because of these Mutalisk. He doesn't want to lose the Muta War, because then he finds himself in a really dicey position. One baneling is going to trigger in as well. That queen will get picked up immediately. The Muta count is in favor of GuitarCheese, but I guess the reinforcements are not here just yet. So many Zerglings are about to hatch for Sen. I think Sen will be okay. Yes, I think Sen should be okay. Even though that was a juicy baneling connection. And GuitarCheese is still winning the Zergling skirmish over here. More Zerglings are screaming down Sen. Where are your Zerglings? He's supposed to have Zerglings. He's actually down 12 Zerglings right now, but he won the Muta War, so that is super important. Because it's made it impossible for GuitarCheese to actually use his Mutalisk on the other side of the map. He's up 9 workers, but he's still down this hatchery, and right now he's the one that has to worry about the counterattack. This is just like a little back and forth session where oh, I'm gonna hit you, and then you run to me, and then you can hit me. GuitarCheese is making a lot of Zerglings right now. His queens are still really low on energy. He's doing a really good job in injecting. I think he should be able to defend it because he still has a minor Muta advantage. A few Mutas did just hatch for Sen, but of course these Mutas have to fly across the map, so they're not here just yet. We have one Spore Crawler going down in the main base, but it's not up and running. I guess Spore Crawlers never really run. One Mutalisk gets caught out of position, two Mutalists actually get caught out of position. Only one of them will fall though. Sen has to be careful. I'm not sure if picking this fight before his reinforcements have arrived is the best choice. But at the same time, he is winning this Zergling fight on the left side of the map. This is getting a really action-packed ZVZ right now. Both players playing ridiculously quick. Muta count slightly in favor of Sen. Sen's gonna fly into the main base. Has to be so careful that he doesn't lose any Mutalisks to these Spore Crawlers. It's really hard for either player to stabilize, but it seems like we have somehow reached a phase in the game where we are slightly stabilized. Sen has to be careful. He shouldn't dance too long on this side of the map. One Muta for one Muta. Second Muta falls a little bit quicker for GuitarCheese. Sen with a supply advantage. But he has to be careful because of the screens. He has a lot of Zerglings making their way across the map, and GuitarCheese right now with almost no Zerglings. And he's not making any either. Oh my, this could get really tricky. These Zerglings right now from Sen cause a real problem for our North American Zerg player. He's gonna pull his queen back, he's gonna try to save it, but his economy is getting disrupted over here, so he's going to lose some of that income, which might allow Sen to overtake him in the Muta count. And a lot of Zerglings will start working on this hatchery as well. This actually just went from bad to worse for our North American Zerg player, as he is going to end up losing this hatchery. Good pickup there for Sen. The Muta count shows us it's 16 against 14, but with losing this hatchery, that is almost detrimental in this matchup. Right now, Sen with that 5th and 6th extractor over his opponent, who is going to do some block. This is mining, but right now, if I was Sen, I would just chill, take a chill pill, as Todd would say. Sit back for a while and just do the same thing as your opponent is doing, but you're doing it off a better economy. Even though GuitarCheese does have still more workers, but he has so much less gas income that it's going to be really hard for him to win the fight. Sen has 1-1 on his Mutas. I think Guitar actually has 1-1 as well. A couple of Zerglings are going to try to cancel this hatchery again. We'll find a queen that's exposed, but the Mutalisks are here to save the day. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks from Sen are looking for an opening. This has been a really action-packed ZVZ. It's the first real semi-macro game we see between them. It's just a little bit unfortunate for GuitarCheese that he lost his base. He's going to have a hard time catching up in the Muta count. As we can see, it's 27 right now for Sen against only 22 for GuitarCheese, who needs a couple of Spore Crawlers to stabilize and turn this into a real game. The Queens could help out a little bit as well, but the Muta count is definitely in favor of Sen. But even though he still has to fight on the other side of the map, this is a really fun game. This hatch is almost up and running, so then we are even again. A couple of Mutas will fall. A few drones getting picked up as well. It's 30 against 21 Mutas right now. Queens are good, but I'm not sure if they are that good. A lot of reinforcements making their way across the map as well. It's 91 army supply against 50. And as good as an effort as this was from GuitarCheese, I'm afraid it's just not going to be enough. As Sen will even up this series, so this series too will go to game 5 between Sen and GuitarCheese. The Starcraft action just does not stop today. But I'm the last one to complain, as this is really fun. This is the correct way to display this. Sen even up the series against GuitarCheese. I'm not sure what our final map is going to be. Obviously, it's going to be crazy right now. If you're either of these two players, it is so hard to predict how that last game is going to play out. Your scouting is going to have to be impactful. It's actually going to be played on merry-go-round. I would say a relatively good Roach map. Could play out a little similar to King Seong Station, even though it's still really different, of course, because the rush distance by ground is so much smaller than it was on King Seong. So we'll see. If I was GuitarCheese, I would go with what has brought me success so far, and that is the Roaches. This last game, I felt if he was a little less indecisive when he went for after he lost that third hatchery for the first time. I kind of feel that was GuitarCheese's moment to run across the map with all of his Mutalisk and all of his Zerglings. Well, Mutas don't run, but you know, you guys know where I'm going with this. He had like 30 something Zerglings against almost 0 Zerglings. He was even in the Muta count. Of course, those queens were scary, but I felt that was a moment where he could have done slightly more than he did. In the end, he was really afraid to committing with his Mutalisk, and I can't fault him for that. But then I would have liked to see him send the Mutas to the third base perhaps, because right now they were just kind of idling outside of the natural, where it was a phase in the game where I felt that if those Mutas wouldn't have been helping Sen to defend against those Zerglings, he would have taken away more damage from those Zerglings on the ground, because he couldn't stabilize on the ground. I've been asking if I'm ready. Of course I'm ready. Been almost 4 hours of non-stop Starcraft, and we're not even done just yet. We have one more best of 5 after this. As I'm just going to and drink some water, getting ready for our final series of the day. Oh, you know, challenger days, some of them have been short and some of them have been very long. And today is almost record-breaking long. The third series isn't even done yet and it's been 4 hours of pretty much non-stop Starcraft. We had a few minor breaks, but no actual real downtime. And all I can say is that I hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely did. I think we saw a lot of really funny scenarios unfold today, and we saw a couple of really close games as well. So it is time for the most exciting game when it comes to any best of 5 within StarCraft 2. It is time for Game 5 between Sen, our Taiwanese Zerg, spawning on the bottom side of Merry-Go-Round, as he is going up against the North American. Should we call him a Hope? No. Hope is maybe he's a North American Hope in the future, but he's definitely a very fun player to follow. And I think if he keeps his motivation up, we are going to hear a lot more from him in the future. He is GuitarCheese, representing his new team, Solaris Gaming. I must say this logo that they have going on over here is kind of cool. Is that like some sort of an eclipse? I'm not sure. I guess it could be. Merry-Go-Round is the map. As you guys can see, the 3-player map, of course, you could have been spawning over here as well, but that is not the case. Overlord heading into the right direction for GuitarCheese and heading into the wrong direction for Sen. It is a map where it could be a little tricky to wall off as well, because this hatchery is relatively far away from the ramp. So sometimes it takes a little while before your creep is actually here and you can drop the buildings that you need to wall off. But we'll see if that's going to matter in this match or not. Sen decided to go for the pool first on the previous map. Perhaps he was a little bit worried. With his tournament life on the line, didn't want to die against crazy early pool strategies by his opponent, and he's doing it again. Sen again going for early pool, or pool before, not early pool, sorry, excuse me, pool before hatch. While it's going to be a hatch first opening over here on the north side of the map for GuitarCheese. Guitar has shown us multiple times in this series that he likes opening gasless if he can get away with it. And I mean, on Frost it didn't go well for him, but on King Seong Station I felt it went perfect. It was King Seong, right? Yeah, it was. But this game he's going to drop the extractor as well, so it will most likely be a speedling opening for him. It could of course be speed Bane aggression again, but how much do you really want to commit to speed Bane aggression? Because if it doesn't play out the way you had planned, if your opponent picks up on it on time and has the pieces in the right place to defend, you're just putting yourself in an economic deficit, and it's really hard to bounce back. But we'll see where he takes it. And of course the same can be said for Sen. Sen decided to go crazy on Frost, which definitely caught me off guard, because how often do you see a speedling rush be very effective on Frost? Just speedlings running across the map. It wasn't even like horizontal or vertical spawning locations, it was cross, and normally it's so hard to get away with something like that on cross. But for most things in ZVZ it goes, if undetected, it's very strong, and we'll see. GuitarCheese has mined 100 gas right now, so he can fire up his speed actually quite a bit before Sen is able to. So Sen, despite having the pool quicker, delayed his extractor by quite a bit. As two slow, happy Zerglings are going to make their way across the map for Sen. We'll see this hatchery, we'll see that's up and running. It's going to run these Zerglings into the base immediately. In case you're new to StarCraft and you're wondering, like, what is he looking for right now? Well, he wants to see gases, and above all wants to see how much gas has been mined. You see, like, hey, you didn't stop mining gas, you already mined 80 additional gas. Right now, if I was Sen, I would already be a little bit of red alert. If a Baning Nest goes down soon, GuitarCheese can commit to some serious Link Bane aggression. Sen also decides to continuously mine gas. Baning Nest will go down in the natural almost immediately for GuitarCheese. We'll keep a close eye on the production tab, see if he goes crazy or not. The fact that this has been scouted, of course, sucks a little bit for him, because it's less likely that it will catch Sen off guard. Sen also drops his Baning Nest, could just be defensive Baning Nest, guys. This could be another Muda War. We have Zerglings on the production tab, a lot of them for Sen right now. Could also be just because he's really worried and paranoid. GuitarCheese also with a lot of Zerglings. So we might just see a little Zergling Baning dance with neither player getting a massive advantage, unless somehow, some way, one or two Banings are able to get the dream connections that they're looking for. Sen also dropping the defensive Spine Crawler, so we can pretty much eliminate the option that he is going for crazy aggression. GuitarCheese on the other end is still making units. Fires up another Overlord as well. He has money in the bank right now. It could also be for Banelings. Currently the Zergling count is 21 against 5. 18 more Zerglings on the production depth for GuitarCheese, but Sen making a lot of defensive Banelings as well. So Sen has had a good read. This is very similar to what we saw on the map where I'm just completely lost for my memory just died. I don't know what game, Habitation Station it was. There we go, where GuitarCheese was able to win the game with straight up Link Bane aggression. This time I think it's going to be a lot harder. A couple of really good connections, good queen positioning as well, and with this spike crawlers, Sen has defended this with relative ease so far. Sen even going back to droning, that's how confident he is. He's already 5 drones ahead, he's gonna make 5 more drones. And right now he sees additional Zerglings and Banelings. He's just like, this guy does not stop. I have to say, I think this is a very questionable decision for GuitarCheese, but maybe he feels like he's so committed to this already that he just has to go for it. But Sen has done a fantastic job in defending this so far. Queens were in a perfect position not to be surrounded, but still snipe the Banelings. The Spike Crawler has been sniping a lot of Banelings as well. That is a juicy connection for GuitarCheese. He's going to try to run in, but his Zerglings are relatively clumped up. More Zerglings! Actually going to run into the main base. Do we have a Baneling over here? No, we don't. We only have a single Baneling left for Sen, but 3 more Banelings are on the way. So GuitarCheese is going to need absolutely impeccable Zergling control. That's good so far. One Baneling actually blowing up only 1 Zergling. Sen is going to lose a few drones, but it's completely okay for Sen to lose a few drones because he has such a big drone advantage. GuitarCheese is still producing Zerglings, and again he's going to morph 6 Banelings, and Sen is going to do the exact same thing as he's morphing 5 Banelings defensively and another Spine Crawler. After this, GuitarCheese is going to drone up, by the way, because he is making a Spine Crawler as well. So this is the last of the aggression for our North American Zerg player. I don't think it's going to be super effective. Baning are just blowing up on each other, and that's never a good sign if you want to be the aggressive player. Eventually, 1 queen will fall. We still have a bunch of speedlings. I think GuitarCheese is going to give up for now. Sen with a 7 worker advantage, leaving this craziness that has been Link Bane stage of ZVZ. No lay attack on either side. So this is not the end of the world. We do see Roach One going down on... actually, Roach is in production for Sen. Sen could just try to march across the map with Roaches and Banes. But at the same time, there is a Roach One going down for GuitarCheese as well, who is still down a few workers though. So from this point, it's only going to be Roaches from either side. It is still a better scenario for Sen. The Overlords from GuitarCheese have vision of every single attack path there is. Good little happy Zergling scout over here for Sen. I don't know how they managed to get their way in there, but they did. Sen is hiding his Roaches. Sen is gonna go for a really big Roach Bane attack, but it seems like GuitarCheese is almost expecting this, guys. He's making his second Spine Crawler. He's making Roaches as well. If he makes 1 more Spine, I think with 3 Spines he should be able to easily hold this. The working count is pretty much even right now. Sen, he's actually sending out a drone to his 3rd base. He has so much minerals, maybe that's why. He's like, I can afford it, so why not? It's actually a really even game, I guess. 33 army supply against 40, but GuitarCheese has static D. So I think he is able to hold it. There's so much on the line, and this is really cool. For a game 5, this is basically a $2,000 best of 1, with also 100 WCS points on the line. But above all, you'll still be in the running for so much more. These Zerglings are having a really cool attack path over here, and they might be able to deny this potential 3rd base from Sen. Sen is of course going to try to do some damage over here, but there are Spine Crawlers, there are Spore Crawlers, and there are defensive Banelings. GuitarCheese will be able to shut down this base, but more important, well, is he? Yes, he is. He is able to cancel it. Actually, Sen is going to retreat. GuitarCheese has survived this phase in the game, and now Sen also firing up layer. GuitarCheese doing the exact same thing. What a nail-biting ZVZ over here in game 5. Both players is making just a lot of correct calls. We see an evolution chamber being wiped in right now for our North American Zerg. I think Sen already has an evolution chamber. Yes, that is correct. Evolution chamber. But for everything that has happened in this game is surprisingly even. It's almost scarily even. Sen is up 4 workers. You could say Sen maybe has a minor advantage, but there are a few more Roaches on the side for GuitarCheese. Sen does have a bank though, and these 2 Banelings are probably not enough to keep this base alive. Okay, so this is a really nice pick-off. While I just said it was surprisingly even, I think right now Sen is creating a nice little advantage for himself. Cancelling this 3rd base is pretty damn huge. Meanwhile, GuitarCheese was so mad that he decided to destroy the destructible debris. Sen has not killed his food yet. These roaches will of course be able to take care of these zerglings and above all usher them away, which will allow GuitarCheese to go up to 3 bases. But it's really unfortunate, this 3rd base is so much later than the one of Sen. And from this point on, Sen is just going to have way more production. He has a small economic advantage as well. His +1 is slightly ahead, and I think soon he's going to have slightly more roaches as well. So there are 11 roaches on the production tab for Sen, and Sen still has a little bit of money in the bank. So the entire game, Sen has had a small economic lead, and it was never massive, up to the point where at one time he was like 10 workers ahead, but then GuitarCheese was able to reset that and drone up himself a little bit and force Sen to run around a little bit when there were zerglings in his main base. But right now Sen is really just rallying on this advantage that this 3rd base is going to give him. He has more economy right now, he has more roaches, his upgrade is a little bit ahead, his roach speed is a little bit ahead. I think that Sen is just going to attack soon. As soon as his roach speed is ready and +1 is ready, we see he's firing up 3 more overlords. He's not taking any additional extractors. So Sen is just going to go absolutely ham right now with the roach aggression. And you know, normally being the defensive player in ZVZ is extremely useful, but how useful or how much of an advantage is it truly when you're down soon to be like 15 roaches, I think. I mean, his reinforcements are going to arrive a lot quicker. And GuitarCheese is not making any mistakes, he's not investing in tech, he's also just making roaches and roaches only, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be enough. He does have these 2 spine crawlers, and he could potentially, I would say, use his queens, but he only has 2 queens, so I think it's more important that he uses them to inject. Sen is knocking on the front door for GuitarCheese. This could be the push that pushes Sen into WCS America Premier League. A lot of Banings getting reasonably juicy connections as well. I like the concave of GuitarCheese, but ZVZ is a numbers game, and there are so many roaches right now for Sen. The spine crawlers have fallen as well, and GuitarCheese will tap out. GG is called, and Sen will qualify for WCS